Why is it that someone can walk away from you, swear they don't want you, reject you, even break your heart into 1,000 pieces, and then later come back, knocking on your door like nothing ever happened? It's confusing, isn't it? 1 minute they're done with you. They've moved on. They made it clear you weren't what they wanted. And just when you're starting to pick yourself up, heal, and move forward, suddenly, there they are again. A text, a call, a late night "I miss you," acting like the past didn't matter. If you've ever had this happen, you know the storm of emotions it brings. A part of you feels wanted again. A part of you feels angry. And deep inside, there's a little voice whispering, "Why now? Why come back after walking away?" This isn't just a game of timing. It's not just fate or destiny. There's a real psychology behind it, one that too many people ignore. And if you don't understand it, you risk falling into the same trap over and over again. That's why this conversation matters, because knowing why someone comes back after rejecting you gives you power. Power to see the truth for what it is, instead of the fantasy you want to believe. Power to decide with clarity whether to open that door or to keep it firmly shut. And I promise you this, by the time we're done, you'll understand the 5 real reasons they return. Some will shock you, some will hurt, and some will make perfect sense once you hear them. But every single one of them will give you insight you can use to protect your heart, your energy, and your future. So stay with me until the end, because if you miss even one reason, you could miss the exact pattern that's been controlling your love life without you realizing it. Now let me be clear, I'm not here to sell you fairy tales. I'm not going to tell you every person who comes back deserves a second chance. No, I'm going to give you the truth, the raw, sometimes uncomfortable truth, about why people walk away and why they return. And when you hear it, something inside you will click. You'll see your own story in it, and you'll never look at those late night "I miss you" texts the same way again. But before we dive into the first reason, I need to say something, and it's not going to feel comfortable. If you're watching this right now, searching for answers, and you still haven't subscribed, you're already handing your future relationships to someone else who's willing to learn what you're not. Think about that. Every time you don't subscribe, someone else is taking your spot, getting wiser, stronger, more prepared. So here's the choice. Subscribe now, or go to the comments and tell us why you'd rather stay blind while others grow. But don't sit in silence. Silence is what keeps people trapped in the same heartbreak cycle over and over again. Now let's begin. Let's start with the first reason. And honestly, this is the one I see the most, both in my own life and in so many of your stories. They come back because they see you thriving without them. Think about it. When someone leaves you, maybe they rejected you, maybe they ended things. They often walk away believing you'll crumble. They expect the breakup to crush you. They think you'll beg, plead, or fall apart. And when you don't, when you hold your head high, when you keep living your life, when you even seem to glow brighter without them, that's when curiosity begins to eat at them. It's like this. Absence creates space, and in that space, growth becomes visible. Suddenly, the person who left you sees something they didn't notice before. You're smiling in your pictures. You're working out. You've got a new job, maybe even a promotion, or maybe it's something smaller but just as powerful. The way you carry yourself now, the way you look peaceful, like you're not waiting on anyone to complete you. And let me tell you, confidence and composure are magnetic. They draw people in without you even trying. This is why I always tell you, don't waste your energy chasing, begging, or proving your worth. The most powerful statement you can ever make is to simply keep moving forward. Handle heartbreak with grace. Let your actions show that you'll be just fine without them, because when you do, it sends a message louder than any words ever could. Now here's the tricky part, and I need you to really hear me on this. Sometimes, when they see you thriving, they come back. Not because they suddenly discovered how deeply they love you, but because your success got their attention. They see the life you're building, the glow on your face, the strength in your spirit, and they want a piece of it. Maybe they notice you've stepped into a higher version of yourself, more confident, more focused, more stable. And instead of celebrating you from a distance, they try to sneak back in, hoping to enjoy the rewards of a life they once rejected. This is where you need to be careful, because if someone only returns when things are good for you, when your money's better, when your social media looks shinier, when your world seems exciting, then you have to ask yourself, do they want me, or do they just want the life I've built? It's a hard question, but it's one that can save you from being used. A healthy partner wants to build with you, not just show up when the house is already finished. A healthy partner wants your heart, not your status. And if their timing only matches your glow up, you need to pause and look deeper. Let me put it this way. Anyone can want to share the spotlight with you when you're shining. But the real question is, were they willing to stand by you when you were in the shadows? So yes, sometimes they come back because you're doing well without them. And while that can feel flattering, while part of you may even enjoy the "now they notice me" moment, you need to guard your heart. Because if their interest is only sparked by your progress, it's not love, it's convenience. And love built on convenience doesn't last. The second reason they come back is a little harder to swallow, but it's one of the most common in today's dating world. They come back because they couldn't find anything better. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Sometimes, when someone rejects you or leaves you, it's not because you weren't good enough, it's because they believed something else, or someone else, was out there waiting for them. They thought the grass would be greener. They thought they could trade you in for an upgrade. And this is where the culture we live in plays a huge role. Dating apps, social media, the constant scrolling, swiping, comparing, everywhere you look, it feels like there are endless options. And with endless options comes a dangerous illusion. The illusion that something better must always be around the corner. So maybe they walked away from you, convinced they were missing out, convinced there was a prettier face, a bigger paycheck, a flashier lifestyle, someone more exciting, more mysterious, more whatever. They convinced themselves you weren't enough because their eyes were chasing the endless what-ifs the world dangled in front of them. But then reality hits. They explore, they date, they chase those better options, only to realize that the shine doesn't last. The person they thought was an upgrade turns out to be unstable, unreliable, or self-centered. The excitement wears off, and they start remembering the steady love, the comfort, the safety, the loyalty they once had with you. And suddenly, the person who rejected you is circling back, saying they miss you. Now here's the harsh truth. When someone comes back to you simply because the world disappointed them, it's not love. It's settling. It's choosing you not because you are their first choice, but because their search for something better failed. And you have to ask yourself a very serious question. Do I want to be somebody's second choice? Do I want to be the safe fallback when their adventure didn't work out? Because here's the thing. If they left you once believing they could do better, what's going to stop them from doing it again? What happens the next time someone shinier crosses their path? Will they drop you again, only to crawl back when the fantasy fades? You deserve more than that. You deserve to be chosen because you are valued, not because you were the best available option at the time. Love isn't about comparison shopping. It's about commitment. It's about deciding that someone is your person and showing up for them day after day, even when life offers distractions. Let me tell you this too. The idea of finding better is an endless chase. No matter who you are, there will always be someone out there who seems to have more. More money, more beauty, more charisma. If someone spends their life searching for better, they'll never be satisfied, no matter who they end up with. That's why, when they come back after failing to find something better, you must be careful. Ask yourself, are they returning because they truly value me now, or because they've run out of options? Because if the only reason they're knocking on your door again is that they couldn't find a replacement, then their presence in your life is built on fear, not love. Fear of being alone, fear of settling for less, fear of missing out on comfort. And fear is not a foundation for a healthy relationship. So if you're ever faced with this, take a deep breath. Don't let flattery cloud your judgment. Don't confuse coming back with loving you. Sometimes it's just desperation dressed up as romance. And you deserve more than desperation. Now let's move into the third reason. And this one is different. It's not toxic. It's not about games, status, or settling. Sometimes they come back because time and growth truly change them. Not everyone who leaves does so out of cruelty or selfishness. Sometimes people walk away simply because they weren't ready. Not ready emotionally, not ready mentally, not ready spiritually. And when you're not ready, no matter how good the relationship looks on the surface, you can't give it what it needs to survive. Think about it like this. If someone is carrying unhealed wounds from their past, whether it's heartbreak, childhood trauma, insecurity, or fear of commitment, those wounds will eventually spill into the relationship. They'll sabotage it, even if they love you. They'll push you away, not because you weren't good enough, but because deep down, they weren't prepared to hold on to something real. And here's the part that hurts. When someone isn't ready, it doesn't matter how much you love them, how patient you are, or how badly you want it to work. Readiness is not something you can give another person. It's something they must create for themselves. So maybe they left you. Maybe they told you they couldn't do it anymore. Maybe they even convinced themselves they wanted freedom. But time has a way of teaching lessons. Time humbles us. Time heals and time reveals. In that space apart, maybe they started reflecting. Maybe they realized the problem wasn't you. It was them. Maybe they sought therapy. Maybe they worked on their career, their self-esteem, their emotional stability. Maybe life simply forced them to grow. And now, when they look back, they see you differently. This is one of the few healthy scenarios where reconciliation can actually work, but only under one condition, that both of you have genuinely grown. Because here's the truth. If only one person evolves and the other stays the same, the cycle repeats. Growth has to be mutual. Otherwise, you'll just end up back in the same arguments, the same frustrations, the same heartbreak that broke you apart in the first place. And this is where wisdom comes in. If someone who once left you returns, telling you they've changed, you can't just take those words at face value. Growth is not spoken, it's shown. You don't ask, have you changed? You observe. You watch how they carry themselves. You watch how they handle stress. You notice if they communicate differently, if they take accountability, if they act with patience instead of defensiveness. It's not about their promises, it's about their patterns. And you also need to look at yourself, because maybe while they were away, you changed too. Maybe you became stronger, wiser, less willing to settle. Maybe the version of you today doesn't even want what the old you wanted. And that's powerful, because sometimes, by the time they're ready, you've already outgrown them. That's why I'll never recommend waiting around for someone to figure it out. Don't pause your life hoping that one day they'll come back better. If they do, it should be a surprise blessing, not a plan you built your life around. Because waiting keeps you stuck, blind to the new opportunities, new loves, and new growth waiting right in front of you. So yes, time and growth can change people. Yes, sometimes they leave, heal, and return with genuine intentions. But don't mistake every return for growth. Some people come back because they're lonely, not because they've grown. Some come back because they miss the comfort, not because they're ready to build something lasting. Your job is to discern the difference. And if you find yourself in this situation, ask yourself this: has this person really changed? Or are they just repeating a cycle? Have I grown enough to even want them back? If the answer feels calm, steady, and mutual, then maybe reconciliation can work. But if there's even a hint of doubt, a shadow of the same old patterns, then the healthiest choice may be to wish them well and keep walking your path. Because growth is not proven by the words, "I miss you." It's proven by the life someone builds, with or without you. The fourth reason they come back is one I wish didn't happen so often. But it does. They see you with someone new. Let me explain something about human nature. Jealousy has a way of flipping switches in people's minds. The very same person who rejected you, who ignored you, who swore they didn't want you, suddenly sees you smiling with someone else, posting pictures, laughing, being adored, and suddenly they want you again. But here's the catch. Do they want you, or do they just not want anyone else to have you? This is where psychology comes in. There's a concept called perceived value. When other people want you, your value rises in the eyes of the person who once dismissed you. Think of it this way. Someone who didn't see your worth when you were single suddenly sees you differently when another person recognizes it. Suddenly, you're desirable. Suddenly, you're worth chasing. Not because you changed, but because someone else validated you. And that's the dangerous part. Because sometimes it isn't love that pulls them back. It's insecurity. It's competition. It's the ego saying, wait, that's mine. This is emotional manipulation at its finest. They're not thinking about your happiness. They're not celebrating that you've moved forward and found someone who cherishes you. No, they're thinking about themselves, about how it feels to lose control, about how it bruises their pride to see you thriving in someone else's arms. I want you to think about this carefully. If someone had every chance to love you when you were available, but only decides they want you when another person steps in, is that really desire? Or is it fear? Fear of being replaced. Fear of watching you give the love they once rejected to someone else. Fear of realizing they weren't as in control of you as they thought. And listen, sometimes they won't even want you back to stay. They just want to interrupt what you've got going on. They want to pull you away from your new partner, remind themselves they still have access to you, and then leave you again once they've soothed their ego. It's cruel, but it happens every day. So if this has happened to you, if someone who left suddenly reappears the moment you find happiness elsewhere, you need to pause and ask, am I being loved or am I being claimed? Because you are not a trophy. You are not a possession to be snatched off the shelf whenever someone feels jealous. You are a human being with a heart that deserves real love, not games of tug of war. And if you're nodding along because you've lived this, but you still haven't subscribed, I have to ask, are you planning to repeat the same mistakes again? Because those who don't learn get used again. Subscribe now, or go to the comments and admit why you'd rather stay in the same cycle. But don't sit here silent, watching your life replay the same heartbreak like a broken record. Choose growth or choose regret. Now, let's move to the last reason. And now we come to the fifth reason. And in many ways, this one is the thread that ties all the others together. They come back because they're second-guessing their decision. Indecisiveness is one of the biggest traps in modern relationships. We live in a world where options are endless, distractions are constant, and comparison is everywhere. Social media feeds us curated highlight reels of other people's lives, and suddenly, what we have doesn't look shiny enough. Dating apps create the illusion that with just one more swipe, one more match, someone better is waiting right there. So what happens? Someone chooses you, but deep down, they're not confident in their choice. They start to wonder, did I settle too soon? Could I do better? What if there's someone else out there I haven't met yet? That doubt grows, and eventually, they walk away. They think they're searching for something greater. But here's the irony. When they leave, they don't always find the happiness they imagined. Because the grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it's artificial turf. Sometimes it's weeds. Sometimes it looks good in the distance, but feels empty when they actually step onto it. And when that illusion collapses, regret sets in. They think about you. They replay the moments. They start asking themselves, did I make a mistake? Was I too quick to let go? Did I undervalue what I had? That's when you hear from them again. A text, a call, a carefully worded message, hinting at missing you, hinting at reconnecting. They're second-guessing, and you're the safe place they look back to. Now listen to me closely. Second-guessing is not love. It's hesitation. And hesitation is not the soil where lasting relationships grow. A partner who chooses you should choose you with certainty. Not because you're perfect. No one is. But because they know they'd rather face life's imperfections with you than chase illusions elsewhere. If someone comes back to you out of second-guessing, You need to see the pattern clearly. Ask yourself, is this person truly committed to me, or are they just afraid they made the wrong choice? Because if someone is hot and cold with you now, that won't magically disappear later. Consistency is everything in love. Without it, you're stuck in cycles of being adored one moment and doubted the next. And let me be honest, being with someone who is unsure about you is worse than being alone. At least when you're alone, your peace is intact. At least you know where you stand. With someone indecisive, you live on shaky ground, never fully secure, never fully chosen. And you deserve to be fully chosen. So don't be afraid of being alone. Don't think that having someone who is half in, half out is better than solitude. It's not. Solitude can be healing. Solitude can be empowering. Solitude can prepare you for a love that doesn't waver, a love that doesn't second guess, a love that looks at you and says, yes, you're it, and I'm not looking anywhere else. If someone let you go once and comes back in a haze of doubt, you don't owe them your heart. Their regret does not equal your obligation. Their indecision does not mean you have to give them another chance. Because at the end of the day, love is not about who leaves and comes back. Love is about who never left in the first place. So now we've come full circle. We've walked through the 5 real reasons they come back after rejecting you or leaving you. First, they come back when they see you thriving without them. Your glow, your growth, your peace, it pulls them back, though sometimes only because they want a piece of what you've built. Second, they come back when their search for better fails. When they realize the shiny promises of the world weren't so real, they settle for what they once threw away. And you must ask yourself, do I want to be someone's fallback? Third, they come back when time and growth have changed them, when they've healed, matured, and worked on themselves. This is one of the rare cases where reconciliation can truly work, but only if both of you have genuinely grown. Fourth, they come back when jealousy strikes. When they see you happy with someone new, suddenly your value skyrockets in their eyes. Not because they love you, but because they can't bear the thought of someone else holding what they once had. And that, my love, is manipulation, not love. And finally, fifth, they come back when doubt and regret cloud their mind. When indecisiveness eats at them and they start second-guessing their choice. But remember, second-guessing isn't love, it's fear. And you deserve someone whose love is certain, not someone who treats your heart like a temporary option. Now let me leave you with this. If someone left you once, don't forget, that was a choice. They made it. And whether you let them back in or not, that's your choice. Don't give away that power. Value yourself first, because the moment you do, everything else becomes clear. If they return with real growth, with consistency, with love that's steady, you'll know. But if they come back with excuses, jealousy, or regret, you'll know that too. And the stronger you become, the easier it will be to choose peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and self-worth over second chances that don't deserve you. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever had someone leave only to come back later? What was the reason and how did you handle it? Share your story in the comments because you never know who your words might help. Someone else watching this may need the courage that your experience can give them. And before we go, let me remind you, this is your life. This is your heart. Protect it, honor it, don't hand it back to someone who didn't value it the first time. Because love isn't about who can leave and return the most. Love is about who chooses you, fully, every single day. This is Selena Rose, and you've been watching Relationship Truths. Remember, the game of love changes the moment you decide your worth.